In the last episode, Samson fell to Delilah's persistence. The Philistines blinded him and set him to grinding grain. But in his final act, he brought down the temple of Dagon, killing more enemies in death than in life. The age of the judges draws to a close. In those days, Israel has no king. This refrain echoes through the final chapters of Judges like a thesis statement. No king, no central authority, no one to unite the tribes or uphold the law. The narrator is not merely describing chaos, he is proposing a diagnosis. Israel needs righteous leadership. Without a king who fears the Lord, the nation descends into moral anarchy. What follows are two stories that prove this point, a religion corrupted and a crime that tears the nation apart. Now a man named Micah from the hill country of Ephraim says to his mother, "The 1,100 shekels of silver that were taken from you, and about which I heard you utter a curse, I have that silver with me. I took it." His mother says, "The Lord bless you, my son." 1,100 shekels, the same amount offered to Delilah, stolen from his own mother, returned only after hearing her curse. When he returns the silver to his mother, she says, "I solemnly consecrate my silver to the Lord for my son to make an image overlaid with silver. I will give it back to you." He returns the silver, and his mother takes 200 shekels and gives them to a silversmith, who makes them into the image. It is put in Micah's house, consecrated to the Lord, made into an idol? The contradiction does not trouble them. Israel has forgotten what holiness means. This man Micah has a shrine, and he makes an ephod and some household gods. He installs one of his sons as his priest, a private shrine, household gods, a son as priest. Everything about this is wrong. Only Levites may serve as priests. Only the tabernacle may hold the ephod. In those days, Israel has no king. Everyone does as they see fit. A young Levite from Bethlehem in Judah, who has been living within the clan of Judah, leaves that town in search of some other place to stay. On his way, he comes to Micah's house in the hill country of Ephraim. Micah asks him, "Where are you from?" He says, "I am a Levite from Bethlehem in Judah, and I am looking for a place to stay." Micah says to him, "Live with me and be my father and priest, and I will give you 10 shekels of silver a year, your clothes, and your food." The Levite agrees to live with him, and the young man becomes like one of his sons. Micah installs the Levite as his priest, and he lives in his house. Micah says, "Now I know that the Lord will be good to me, since this Levite has become my priest." A Levite for hire, a priest who serves the highest bidder. Micah believes he has secured God's favor with a salary and a shrine. In those days, Israel has no king. The tribe of Dan is seeking a place of their own where they may settle, because they have not yet come into an inheritance among the tribes of Israel. Dan was given territory, but they failed to take it. The Amorites pressed them back. Now they search for easier land. The Danites send 5 of their leading men from Zorah and Eshtaol to spy out the land and explore it. They come to the hill country of Ephraim and stay at the house of Micah. When they are near Micah's house, they recognize the voice of the young Levite. They ask him, "Who brought you here? What are you doing in this place? Why are you here?" He tells them what Micah has done for him and says, "He has hired me and I am his priest." They say, "Please inquire of God to learn whether our journey will be successful." The priest answers, "Go in peace. Your journey has the Lord's approval." The 5 men leave and come to Laish, where they see that the people are living in safety, like the Sidonians, at peace and secure. And since there lacks nothing, they are prosperous. They live a long way from the Sidonians and have no relationship with anyone else. When the men return to Zorah and Eshtaol, their fellow Danites ask them, "How did you find things?" They answer, "Come on, let us attack them. We have seen the land and it is very good. Will you do nothing? Do not hesitate to go there and take it over. When you get there, you will find an unsuspecting people and a spacious land that God has put into your hands. 600 Danites, armed for battle, set out from Zorah and Eshtaol. On their way, they pass by Micah's house. The 5 men who had spied out the land say to their fellow Danites, "Do you know that one of these houses has an ephod, household gods, and an image overlaid with silver? Now you know what to do." The 5 men go into Micah's house and take the idol, the ephod, and the household gods. The priest is standing at the entrance of the gate with the 600 men armed for battle. When the Danites go into Micah's house and take the idol, the ephod, and the household gods, the priest says to them, "What are you doing?" They answer him, "Be quiet, do not say a word. Come with us and be our father and priest. Is it not better that you serve a tribe and clan in Israel as priest, rather than just one man's household?" The priest is glad. He takes the ephod, the household gods, and the idol, and goes along with the people. The Levite abandons Micah without hesitation. A larger congregation means a larger salary. When Micah sees that they are too strong for him, he turns around and goes back home. The Danites take what Micah had made and the priest who belonged to him and go on to Laish against a people at peace and secure. They attack them with the sword and burn down their city. There is no one to rescue them. The Danites rebuild the city and settle there. They name it Dan after their ancestor. There the Danites set up for themselves the idol, and Jonathan, son of Gershom, the son of Moses, and his sons were priests for the tribe of Dan until the time of the captivity of the land. The grandson of Moses becomes the priest of an idol. The line of the great deliverer serves a carved image. This is how far Israel has fallen. The first story ends. It shows religious corruption, idolatry masked as worship, Levites for hire, theft baptized as consecration. Without a king to enforce the covenant, everyone invents their own religion. In those days, Israel has no king. The second story is worse. It will show moral collapse so complete that Israel becomes indistinguishable from the Canaanites they were meant to displace. Now a Levite who lives in a remote area in the hill country of Ephraim takes a concubine from Bethlehem in Judah. But she is unfaithful to him. She leaves him and goes back to her parents' home in Bethlehem. After she has been there 4 months, her husband goes to her to persuade her to return. He has with him his servant and 2 donkeys. She takes him into her parents' home, and when her father sees him, he gladly welcomes him. His father-in-law, the woman's father, prevails on him to stay, so he remains with him 3 days, eating and drinking there. Day after day, the father delays them. On the 5th day, the Levite finally leaves late in the afternoon with his concubine and servant. When they are near Gibeah, which is Jerusalem, the day is almost gone. The servant says to his master, "Come, let us stop at this city of the Jebusites and spend the night." His master replies, "No, we will not go into any city whose people are not Israelites. We will go on to Gibeah." They go on, and the sun sets as they near Gibeah in Benjamin. They stop there to spend the night. They go and sit in the city square, but no one takes them in for the night. No hospitality in an Israelite city. They sit in the square like strangers in a foreign land. That evening, an old man from the hill country of Ephraim, who is living in Gibeah, comes in from his work in the fields. He sees the traveler in the city square and asks, "Where are you going? Where did you come from?" The Levite answers, "We are on our way from Bethlehem in Judah to a remote area in the hill country of Ephraim, where I live. No one has taken us in for the night." The old man says, "You are welcome at my house. Let me supply whatever you need. Only do not spend the night in the square." He takes them into his house and feeds the donkeys. After they wash their feet, they eat and drink. In those days, Israel has no king. That comes later. While they are enjoying themselves, some of the wicked men of the city surround the house. Pounding on the door, they shout to the old man who owns the house, "Bring out the man who came to your house so we can have sex with him." The owner of the house goes outside and says to them, "No, my friends, do not be so vile. Since this man is my guest, do not do this outrageous thing. Look, here is my virgin daughter and his concubine. I will bring them out to you, and you can use them and do to them whatever you wish. But as for this man, do not do such an outrageous thing." But the men will not listen to him. So the man takes his concubine and sends her outside to them, and they rape her and abuse her throughout the night. At dawn they let her go. At daybreak, the woman goes back to the house where her master is staying, falls down at the door, and lies there until daylight. When her master gets up in the morning and opens the door to continue on his way, there lies his concubine, fallen in the doorway of the house with her hands on the threshold. He says to her, "Get up, let us go." But there is no answer. She is dead, raped and murdered by Israelites in an Israelite city. The men of Israel cut down 25,100 Benjamite swordsmen that day. 600 men turn and flee into the wilderness to the rock of Rimmon, where they stay 4 months. The men of Israel go back to Benjamin and put all the towns to the sword, including the animals and everything else they find. All the towns they come across they set on fire. Benjamin is nearly destroyed. 600 men survive. The rest are dead. Their towns are burned. The men of Israel have taken an oath at Mizpah. Not one of us will give his daughter in marriage to a Benjamite. The people go to Bethel and sit before God until evening, raising their voices and weeping bitterly. They cry, "Lord, God of Israel, why has this happened to Israel? Why should one tribe be missing from Israel today? One tribe nearly annihilated. How will Benjamin survive without wives?" They ask, which one of the tribes of Israel failed to assemble before the Lord at Mizpah? They discover that no one from Jabesh Gilead has come to the assembly. The assembly sends 12,000 fighting men with instructions to go to Jabesh Gilead and put to the sword those living there, including the women and children. They find among the people living in Jabesh Gilead 400 young women who have never slept with a man, and they take them to Shiloh. The whole assembly sends an offer of peace to the Benjamites at the rock of Rimmon. The Benjamites return and are given the women of Jabesh Gilead who have been spared, but there are not enough for all of them. The people grieve for Benjamin because the Lord has made a gap in the tribes of Israel. The elders ask, "What are we to do to provide wives for those who are left, since the Benjamite women have been destroyed?" They say, "There must be heirs for the survivors of Benjamin, so that a tribe of Israel will not be wiped out. We cannot give them our daughters as wives, since we Israelites have taken this oath. Cursed be anyone who gives a wife to a Benjamite." They devise a plan. There is a festival to the Lord in Shiloh every year. They tell the Benjamites, "Go and hide in the vineyards and watch. When the young women of Shiloh come out to join in the dancing, rush from the vineyards, and each of you seize one of them to be your wife." The Benjamites do this. While the young women are dancing, each man catches one and carries her off to be his wife. Then they return to their inheritance and rebuild the towns and settle in them. Violence upon violence. Massacre to solve the consequences of massacre. The abduction of women to replace the women destroyed. At that time, the Israelites leave that place and go home to their tribes and clans, each to his own inheritance. In those days, Israel has no king. Everyone does as they see fit. The book ends in darkness. No deliverer rises. No victory is celebrated. Only the refrain echoes, "No king, and everyone doing what is right in their own eyes." The refrain is the key. The narrator has shown us where Israel ends up without godly leadership: religious corruption, moral collapse, civil war, abduction of women. The book of Judges does not merely record history. It makes an argument. Israel needs a king, but not any king. They need a king who will lead them back to the Lord. Thank you for listening to this final episode of the Judges era. We have seen the cycle repeat again and again. Sin, oppression, crying out, deliverance, and return to sin. The judges grew more flawed as Israel grew more corrupt, and in the end, the nation descends into civil war and moral chaos. The book of Judges ends with a longing for something Israel does not yet have, a king to lead them, to unite them, to turn their hearts back to God. That story continues in Ruth and Samuel, where the line of David begins to emerge from the darkness.